Jumbo,
Jumbo.
welcome. You are listening to Operation Power, a voice for Black radical politics and revolutionary change. We're here on Black Power Media on Thursdays from 7 to 8, and we're so glad that you have joined us this evening for our program that we're going to be having. My name is Inez Barron,
Yes, it is.
and I am co hosting this program with my husband, the bold, the outspoken, the indomitable, the only one of a kind, the Black, the unbossed, one and only.
Charles Barron. And it is always a humbling honor to be on with my wife of 42 years.
Thank you.
The brilliant, stunningly beautiful Inez Barron.
Thank you so much. We're so glad that you've joined us with our program today. Today's program is Black Radical Politics Onward to the Convention. The convention is coming soon. We're going to give you all the details on that. But before we get started with our program, we do have a portion where we offer a libation. We have a video that offers a libation because we understand that our ancestors fought, died, sacrificed for us to get to this point where we are, and that we stand on their shoulders. And it's not just what we're doing now, but the legacy and the torch that they have passed on to us that brings us to this point. So we do have a video that we want to share with you. It's the libation offering, and we're going to share that with you now.
For African people, nothing important happens without a libation. And so for this very important presentation, we begin by the pouring of libation. We pour libation first to our first ancestor, to that hidden one who, though hidden, manifests in all things as all things, that God-goddess idea in the universe by any and all names. To our first ancestor, we pour libation. Ashe. We pour libation too to our ancestors because they were the first people on this planet, mothers and fathers of all mankind, flashpoint of the human family. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. Pour libation too to our ancestors because they were the ones who first gave birth to the idea of civilization, knew we would need a form of governance, and they nurtured that idea along the Nile until it reached its zenith in Kemet. There they built these gigantic monuments as evidence of that great civilization, and they carved instructions on the walls of temples and tombs for us, so we would never forget. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. Pour libation too to our ancestors because over time they put together all the tenets of civilization and they took those ideas and left the continent. They were the people of the first Exodus. They left Africa and went all over the world and peopled the world. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. We pour libation too to our ancestors because they did not sit on their laurels. They continued to improve, continued to evolve, and at each point of evolution, they again would leave the continent and settle and resettle the planet. They met themselves coming and going. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. Pour libation too to those ancestors because over time, they found themselves the object of a forced exodus when they were kidnapped, shackled, cargoed, shipped out of Africa and enslaved in diasporas around the world. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. Pour libation too to the ancestors left at home, the very young, the aged, the infirm, left to reinvent themselves, depleted of us, human resources. But they were enjoined by us in the diasporas, both objects of a global myopia that ruptured the soul of a people as it ravaged a continent. To those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. Pour libation too to those ancestors because over time they began to remember who and what they were. Because no matter where they had been dropped off, they still retained bits and pieces of who and what they were. They retained that African core that described them. They began to remember bits and pieces of a song. They began to remember lines from a rhythm. They began to remember dances that they did in ancient times. They began to remember those ancient drum beats that they now beat out on bare skin. And so to those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe. They pour libation too to them because they then began to teach each other. They began to resurrect and reconstruct that history and that culture. They became the new Africans wherever they were. They became the new teachers, preachers, archaeologists, the new singers, dancers, the new drummers, the new Jaliyah. They reconstructed that history and our culture and became new Africans everywhere. So to those ancestors, we pour libation. Ashe.
Ashe and Asheo.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Giving honor to our
yes,
ancestors.
yes.
And we invite you to think of your ancestors and to think about the struggles and the sacrifices that they made and give homage to them as well. Once again, you're listening to Operation Power, a voice for Black radical politics and revolutionary change. And Operation Power is an organization that we started here in the East New York section of Brooklyn. And it's an organization that believes we've got to start local, that all politics is local. And we do have a video, short clip that we want to share with you, in which you get some of the foundational information about what Operation Power believes and what we have done.
Operation Power stands for people organizing and working for empowerment and respect.
Operation Power is a grassroots social justice organization founded by local community stakeholders, which includes activists, organizers, and leaders who understand that the system as it is currently structured is destroying us and our communities.
The system, the capitalist system, one that promotes human greed over human need, one that promotes profit over people, needs to be dismantled. These local community organizers recognize capitalism needs to be destroyed and replaced with socialism.
Operation Power was founded in 1997 with the understanding that uprooting capitalism needs to begin locally. Operation Power understood that our communities are the perfect vehicle to dismantle this parasitic capitalist system brick by brick, and the economic, political, and cultural institutions and other systems in place in our local community infrastructure.
Thank you so much. We have a great opportunity to share with you, and Operation Power also has some books that we want to highlight and bring to your attention that you'll be able to reference as we talk about what's going on in our organization. Okay. The three books that we want to bring to your attention are Speaking Truth to Power, written by Charles Barron. And we want to let you know that it's a compilation of articles that he has written over time. And we want to share them with you and make sure that you understand that they're available. The second is It's Not You, It's Capitalism, Why It's Time to Break Up and How to Move On. And it's an analysis of the systems that we're fighting, written by Malika Jabali. And third on our list is Black Rising, a novel by Kevin Barron. Page turner, once you start it, you're not going to stop till you finish. The second in the trilogy is Black Rising, Home and Abroad, also by Kevin Barron. And we invite you to order these books at Barnes & Nobles online. They're all available. And the third one is The Threat. So those are the three books we would like to share with you and invite you to get them. And we know that you're going to enjoy reading them. Well, once again, we invite you to get ready for some exciting news. Our program is Black Radical Politics on the Rise, Onward to the Convention. But we do have another clip that we want to share with you. We do another program on a radio station here locally in Brooklyn, New York, in New York City area. And a part of that is called Food for Thought. And the last presentation that we did then is relevant to the topic that we want to talk about today. So we're going to share that with you now.
Food for thought. Green onions is playing in the background, and we know green onions is healthy for you. but our food for thought is even more healthy for you. So we're going to be talking about an article that I wrote 9 years ago, in October of 2016, called Fired Up, Igniting the Flame for Black Radical Politics. Here we go. Operation Power, people organizing and working for empowerment and respect, is a political movement in New York City focusing on getting Black radicals elected to city and state offices. We need more Black radicals elected to city and state offices. We need more Black presidents. We need presidents who happens to be Black, but we need a president that is committed to Black people. We don't need Black doctors who happen to be Black. We need Black doctors who are committed to Black people. We don't need Black lawyers who happen to be Black. We need Black lawyers who are committed to Black people. And we certainly don't need any more local Black elected officials who happen to be Black. We need local Black radical elected officials who are committed to Black people. You see, Blackness must be defined front and center on the agenda of Black leadership. Blackness is not only African features, melanin skin pigmentation, rich, coarse African textured hair, etc. It's a state of mind. If Blackness were African features, then Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas would be the Blackest man in town. Everyone knows that he is diametrically opposed to anything that would have any semblance of the benefiting the Black community. He is one of the most non-Black Black persons in the country. So let's develop a little working definition on what Blackness is politically. Dr. Lani Guinier, may she rest in peace, in her book, Tyranny of the Majority, stated that some Black leaders are descriptively Black. They look like us. Others are authentically Black. They are committed to us. Thus, as we go forward, we say being Black is being committed to the empowerment, interest, well-being, political, economic, and social progress and liberation of the Black community. The call for Black power, Black liberation, and Black self-determination is still very relevant today. Being Black doesn't exclude one from uniting with other ethnic groups struggling against oppression, nor does it disengage us from struggling against class issues, colonial capitalism, imperialism, globalization, etc. On the contrary, addressing Black issues is synonymous with addressing class issues. While I use the term Black often, I want to remind us that we are an African people. We're not a race. We are a nation of African people who have been displaced from our homeland, Africa. Because we were kidnapped as a people and removed from our homeland, that does not take away from us being a nation of people. We are an African people, but bear in mind, we don't only want to change the complexion of the people in power, we want to change in the direction of the politics of America. We want ideological change. We want a revolutionary change. Therefore, we are calling on Black leaders to embrace Black radical politics, the politics of liberation and revolutionary change. Forward ever and backward never. Straight ahead. That's our food for thought to bring us in for this program. We were very excited to do this program tonight. How timely could it be when we're facing the repression, the fascism, the racism, the colonialism, the imperialist wars abroad? This is the great time to focus on Black radical politics. Thus, our show for today, Black radical politics on the rise. And we say onward to the convention. We have two very special guests on with us tonight, and we're going to introduce them after we play a little clips for the convention in 1972. The convention, the Black Political Convention in Gary, Indiana. 8,000 to 10,000 Black people came together in 1972, all walks of life, from Democrats, Republicans, Panthers, the cultural nationalists, socialists, communists, you name them, they came together in Gary, Indiana. And in this tape, you're going to see some folks that said one thing then, but boy, did they change now. And we want to focus on our convention, which we'll introduce, which pushes forward the question of Black radicalism. You see, the Democrats, they benefited from that convention. They came in there with 2,300 elected officials in the Democratic Party. 10 years after that convention, it went up to 7,000. And now we're at 16,000. But Black radicals, Black power advocates didn't benefit. And that's what we're trying to continue this. So let's show a couple of clips and bring our guests on. Cairo?
I want to say this afternoon, poised as we are at the beginning of this historic convention, that we, in order to understand where we are going, must probe our bitter past where we have been. This is not the first time blacks have assembled to chart their political course. 1855, 1871, 1872. These were years in which national black political conventions met in New York, Columbia, South Carolina, and in New Orleans. Now, some of the white news media has criticized us for calling this convention and welcoming all of our brothers and sisters. But we shall determine who comes to this convention, not the white news media. And I want to say here and now that all black people are welcome.
Just want to make sure that you note the footnote said boys as we are. He said poised as we are. So just want to make sure that you make note of that.
Right. So that was Mayor Richard Hatchett. You know, he was the mayor, first black mayor of Gary, Indiana, and he was progressive and he held a convention in Gary, Indiana. We're going to show another clip of that and then bring on our guest.
Black Party, I do not trust white Republicans or white Democrats.
Our spirit remains unconquered.
This is the nature of change. That it must seem jagged and convulsed, but remain the smooth speed of universal wisdom.
This document tells you why the man owes you reparations. Here, honey, you want reparations? Take it. This is reparations.
Those of us already disenchanted with the political system could conceivably turn to other tactics, shattering the quiet routine of daily life in this country.
Revolution is about the right for humanity and black people in this country here and across the world to survive. When we come together, what time is it? When we respect each other, what time is it?
Well, we're going to have to remind Jesse, what time is it? Because boy, did he do a 180. But it was good at that time. But, you know, a lot of things changed and a lot of people fell in line. But there is a handful of us who maintained our revolutionary ideology and spirit, our radical political perspective. And I want to bring those guests on now because we do have a National Black Radical Political Congress that we started 3 years ago. This is our 4th anniversary. And the National Black Radical Political Congress is having a National Black Radical Political Convention, the 4th annual convention. And 2 leaders of that is Brother Khalid Rahim of the African People's Independent Party and Nnamdi Lumumba of the People's Progressive Jima Party. So we have both of our brothers on. It's so good to have you. I'm excited about what's going to happen in Philadelphia. And I'm going to let you kick us off.
Right on.
Your comments, Brother Rahim. Go for it, man.
Well, thank you both, Sister Inez, Brother Charles.
You're welcome.
I'm glad that we have an opportunity to share some perspective with you all. So this is the 4th annual. National Black Radical Political Convention, Temple University, Philadelphia, October the 25th and the 26th. This is an opportunity for us to come together, the members of the Congress, as well as other groups and organizations, to come together to really start to plot an independent strategy in terms of how we utilize electoral politics. I'm gonna let Brother Nnamdi speak to all of that, and I'm gonna just focus more on the programmatic side of it.
Good.
So Brother Nnamdi can take it.
Yes, yes, thank you all. Good to be with you again. We're in a real interesting time in the world. We are seeing open fascism move in ways that it hasn't moved in, 40 years, maybe 50 years. There's always been this constant attack on the African community, and we've built movements to push that back. And now we're seeing a reactionary stance coming from the government that now attacks young white people who are anti-capitalist and socialists, who even make the Democratic Party to be socialists themselves. And we all know that's not true. We live in a world now where you can't say things on social media. You can't even trust what you see, right, in social media and in the news. And so people need to be brought together. We need to have clarity of what we're trying to do. We need to be able to see all the different resources that our movement has accumulated. We have veterans like you all who are in the Congress, right? Veterans from the 60s, people who have been building all over this country. We need to have a Black radical convention where people can meet each other, share notes, understand what we're doing to build machinery, which is a whole new evolution for the Black radical tradition in the electoral arena. How do we beat the machine? How do we train and develop our next line of leaders? These are answers that have to be answered, and this is what the Black Radical Political Congress and the convention is all about. And we're inviting people to be a part of that. We're hearing from people all around the country, right, who are doing this work isolated. Come on down to Philadelphia. Let's get connected and let's build a strong movement.
I want to say this real quick before you come on, Khalid. I want you sisters to know we definitely highlight our sisters.
That's
we invited Dr. Joyce Maxwell. She told me to tell y'all she couldn't come on tonight. Why? Because she's working hard for the convention. She's setting up some stuff.
Yeah.
She's on the way to Philly to put up some flyers at Temple University. So just want to let you know that we did have our sister involved the last minute. She said, I just got to complete this work. And one of our pillars, and Brother Khalid can really lay out what our principles of unity are and all those other things, and some of the great guests that's going to be there. Brother Khalid?
Yeah, certainly. So I have to always refer to my notes, right, just to make sure I'm on the right side of history and the right side of reporting everything here. But in terms of what we're all about, I think Nnamdi, he also made some reference to it. But I'm going to read straight from the website who we are. We are a collective representation of Black workers, students, revolutionaries, activists, socialists, radicals, revolutionary nationalists, communists, and anti-capitalists, firmly committed to building and developing the Black community's capacity for independent Black political. We proceed in the spirit and political traditions of those forces who attended the 1972 National Black Political Convention in Gary, with hopes and dreams of unifying Black America around an agenda of radical and revolutionary politics in pursuing Black liberation. So that basically describes who we are. You can go to our website, go to nbrpc.org and check that out. What it is that we plan to do on a regular basis, we will introduce different proposals. We will facilitate discussion and make resolutions that advance the movement for Black liberation. That is our primary focus. We will center on the delegations and individuals and organizations that embrace and incorporated our core principles. We also will serve as an informational clearinghouse, resource center, and capacity building mechanism for such.
I think he froze there. So if we're going to keep it going, he'll be unfroze in a minute.
And share with us, as you would, Brother Nnamdi, while we wait. You talked about the conditions that we're living in. Share with us the theme of this convention.
Okay. Well, the theme. Well, let me finish the why part.
Okay.
We represent a sharp critique of the current Black misleadership class and the dominance of neocolonial politics within the Black community. To sum it up, we think it's important that Black people have alternative, that we have choices, right? And the two-party system, the two-party duopoly, they both represent the same class, just two different segments, basically the same class interests. The theme for this year's convention, again, is building political unity and fighting fascism. And I think that Brother Nnamdi spoke earlier about the time that we happen to live. Very important for us to build political unity, not just the social unity that oftentimes we think is real political unity, but actual political unity that results in the acquisition of real power. And I know that for both of you, you speak very much of that, how important that is. This is fundamentally a struggle for power, right? And when you look at politics, how politics should be defined, or the way that we define it as the struggle for the acquisition of power and resources.
That's right.
Right. And so we are committed to trying to get as much power as we can for our people, right? Black Panther Party said all power to the people. And that is so appropriate. We believe all power should belong in the hands of the people, not just the billionaire class, not the capitalist class, not the imperialists, not the multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever they want to call themselves today or tomorrow. So that's the primary focus. We want to focus on building political critique of the politics of our brothers and sisters who are currently in office, and maybe some who may aspire to get to public office. Our criticism is that in most cases, they represent neocolonial politics.
That's right.
So we want to be able to criticize them, but we also want to keep the door open for those who are serious about serving the people and who want to mend their ways. The other part of it is that in these particular days and times, we have to develop a broad-based united front, right, to combat fascism. We go back, Charles, Inez, we go back to the late 1960s and the early 1970s. Right. The Black Panther Party in 1969 called for the creation of a united front against fascism. Why? Because in 68, 69, early 70, especially within the Black community and the brown communities, it represented a fascist state. Right? The Black Panther Party was getting raided every other week in different cities around the country. People were being assassinated and murdered. So it wasn't just the Black Panther Party, it was the Brown Berets, it was the Young Patriots, it was the Young Lords. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it was happening all around the country. American Indian movement. That's right. It was time to call all the forces together, real power to the people, and create a united front against fascism. Now, did that mean that we still didn't have some criticism internally in terms of where we were strategically as far as our politics and our practice? No, we still had those critiques going on internally, but we saw it was very important to develop a broad-based united front. The same type of situation exists today.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Black Panther Party, because this is the anniversary of the Black Panther Party. It started in October. Both Khalid and I were involved with the Black Panther Party, and we are eternally grateful to the Black Panther Party, because what it did wasn't just about shootouts with the police. We're talking about feeding children breakfast, did it so well, highlighted the great contradictions of capitalism not feeding breakfast to its children, and it's the richest country in the world. So much so that 22 states did free breakfast programs because of the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party had 40 plus health clinics, free community health clinics. And I'm talking about dealing with dental services and all kinds of stuff. Our people are going bankrupt now dealing with health in the richest country in the world. Gave out survival packages. The Black Panther Party made sure that they focused on sickle cell anemia, a disease peculiar to us. It was the Black Panther Party that put that on the map. And I can go the rest of the show talking about the Black Panther Party, but I thought it was important for us to mention that in October, 1966.
Always. And thank you. Always, because this is Black Panther Party History Month, right?
That's right.
The Black Panther Party was founded in October of 1966. And
Correct.
also, let us not forget that this is also the 30th anniversary of the Million Man March.
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
And I think we need to recognize that as a tremendous success in terms of being able to mobilize Black people. Now, there's some critique in terms of the organizing after the march, but in terms of organizing and mobilizing people to get to Washington, D.C., we have never seen anything like that, right? And so I think we need to draw some lessons from that and draw some inspiration from that. One of my criticisms is that I thought that we should have came from the Million Man March with at least 3 distinct type of institutions, right? We should have came with our own political party, right? Our own economic type of structure, right? And we should have came with something that could have provided a structure for neighborhood types of defense systems. Those things didn't happen.
And I do want to say this, that there's a lot that did happen when they came.
There is. And we did a lot of things here in Pittsburgh and you know, Western Pennsylvania. But
hold on.
In terms of my national critique, that's my national critique.
I got you.
Right. Locally, there was a tremendous amount of follow-up in places all around the country. The cities, the boroughs, so forth and so on. I'm gonna step back, Brother Nnamdi. I know I need to focus more on the programmatic part of this, and I just kind of ran off a little bit. So I want to let Brother Nnamdi speak to the other parts of this.
Right. So I want us to get into, first of all, we said our 4th annual. The first one was in your spot, Khalid. We had our first one in Pittsburgh. Around 10, 12 states were represented. And some people came from those states, and we did good stuff. Then we went to Nnamdi's state, Maryland, had another 10, 12 states represented, and good number of people represented as well. Then we did our third one was online, and even a few more states represented, a few more people come, because we inching along here. And next year, and this year now, we in Philadelphia at Temple University, and next year we're going to host it in New York City. So Nnamdi, maybe some programmatic stuff like who's coming, what's going to happen, and some of the workshops and stuff like that. Unless you want to say something?
No, just wanted to say we talked about that Million Man March, and we're going to have a program on that on our program tomorrow. So certainly we want to acknowledge the great work that accomplished. Yes.
Nnamdi?
Well, a lot of the programmatic stuff, to be honest, I was going to have Brother Khalid go into who the speakers on the panels. So let's do that. But again, we're talking next weekend, October 25th and 26th in Temple. People can register to participate in the conference at nbrpc.org, and you'll find the links to the registration for 2025. So, Brother Khalid, go ahead and give some details about the program itself.
Let me just slow again. nbrpc.org. Say it again, slow.
nbrpc.org. And from there, you'll find more information about the 2025 registration.
Right. And the hotel information's there, and with the fee, nominal fee, and everybody can afford. So we're looking forward to it. Brother Khalid.
Yeah, well, certainly. So the MC, the entire convention is going to be Dr. Joyce Maxwell, who's the communications secretary for the NBRPC. Saturday morning, there'll be a continental breakfast and on-site registration. We'll have a welcome. We'll do an overview of the program for that particular Saturday. And then we'll do an introduction of the Congress and perhaps showcase a short video or film very similar to what you just did regarding the 1972 National Black Political Convention. We have an open plenary. The first one is Building Political Unity. We'll feature a councilwoman from Wilmington, Delaware, Shawnee Darby. We also have a representative from the Black Alliance for Peace, Austin Cole, and myself so far. The moderator, we haven't yet decided on who's going to moderate this opening plenary. We'll probably add some other people to the plenary as well. Our first, and we want to feature the personal narratives of people from the area and from other parts like of the country who have experienced political violence and state repression. So we'll have a panel. It'll be a personal narrative. That will start at 11. And then 12 o'clock is lunch on your own. We don't have a lot of money, so we couldn't feed you. We will have some hors d'oeuvres, however. At 1 o'clock, we have the first set of workshops. And we have a interactive workshop regarding police violence and state repression, different from the personal narratives. Now we're going to get into a workshop where you can interact with some professionals, activists, but also attorneys. And this workshop will feature people from the Law for Black Lives, featuring 3 attorneys or 3 legal staff. They have their own moderator, they have their own facilitator. And during that period is going to be How to Beat the Machine, featuring Charles Barron and Inez Barron from Operation Power. We have yet to determine the moderator. And then we have a break at 2:25. Then at 2:30, we have another set of workshops, one dealing with current campaigns to free political prisoners, featuring Sister Pam Africa, Brother Shep McDaniel, Sister Kasise Siddiqui, the daughter of Brother Kamal Siddiqui, who's the only New York political prisoner still incarcerated. And we have Mike Africa Jr. and also Russell Schultz III. Moderator will be Yane Indigo. And I'll be doing a workshop, and hopefully with Brother Nambi, on how to utilize electoral politics as we advance Black or New African liberation. Then we have a break, and then we get into some of that's kind of boring, not very popular, but it's very important. We have the sessions that deal with delegates and regional networking. I'll be providing some guidelines in terms of delegation and regional networking, and people will be coming together. We've identified 6 regions. We will be bringing people together. People will meet with other folks based on their particular region and start to engage in some networking and some organizing around their particular issues in their particular counties, their cities, their states, as well as their region. And they also will be called upon to make some recommendations on proposals and actions that we as the NBRPC could endorse and should endorse. Then we'll have the closing comments, and we'll have instructions for the following day on Sunday. Sunday, basically the same type of format, a little different, but at 9:25, Liberation Movement in Philadelphia. So we're going to feature, just an overview of the Black Liberation Movement in Philly during the 20th century up to the present for the most part. And we're probably going to start with the Universal Negro Improvement Association. And then we're going to move on to the Nation of Islam, and then probably the Black Panther Party, the Black Unity Council, the Black United Liberation Front, which is a group many people outside of Philadelphia may not be familiar with, but it was started by former members of the Black Panther Party. And quite naturally, the MOVE organization as well. So we're going to honor those folks. We expect to have a surprise guest and a surprise announcement. I'm not going to say who it is or who they are, not at this moment. And then at 9:40, we're going to have the second major plenary called Fighting Fascism. And we're going to feature a young brother called KJ. He's from out of Delaware. He's from out of Wilmington. A brother from, I think he's from a group, the Pan-African Community Action, PACA. And also an attorney, Morgan Wilson, who represents Lawyers for Black Lives. And then the panel after that is, again, personal narratives, children of the movement. We're going to feature the children. They're now like adult children of former political prisoners and prisoners of war, right? So that should be very interesting, just to talk about their like experiences of growing up as the children of incarcerated parents who happen to be political prisoners in prisons of war. So these are going to be people, the children of members of the Black Panther Party, the BLA, and the MOVE organization. And the lunch, and then we get a report from the delegates and any proposals for a plan of action and the different resolutions, comments, and then we're done. And the final announcement will be that next year the convention will be in New York City.
There you go. Well, Khaled, I just beg to differ a little bit with you. That regional session is not going to be boring. It's exciting. The exchanges that we have in the regions, we have some back and forth, great ideas, great debates. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting, Brother Khaled. But I want to say this to all those, the work that you have done. We all did a lot of work on this, but the work that the leadership, particularly you, and Joyce and Nnamdi, the work that y'all done is incredible. So I just want to give it up to you. We have about 15, 20 minutes left. What I like to do with that, if each of you, one of the unique things about the National Black Radical Political Congress is that we have different kinds of strategies in dealing with the electoral arena. Of course, you know, we played ours. We used the Democratic primary as a strategy, a tactic. But while we in the Democratic primary, we set up a separate independent political structure called Operation Power. We don't count on the Democrats for anything. They hate us. Our biggest enemies are the neo-colonial black sycophant puppets of the Democratic Party. And we wiped out the Democratic Club in our community. And we have to go against Hakeem Jeffries and Eric Adams and Letitia James. All of those people fighting Trump fight us too, because they looking good fighting Trump, but they fight us as hard, if not harder, than they fight Trump. So, and we beat them for 21 years. So I'd like for both of you, if we could take a minute to talk about your efforts in the general elections with the independent group. See, the beautiful thing about us, we already have some independent parties within the Congress that we could build, and we have us who's dealing with the Democratic primary. So Nnamdi, if we can take a minute and talk about the work that your party and group is doing in
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, of course, the way the ruling class has set it up, no one can get in on the ballots the same way anywhere in the country, right? What happens in New York is different than what happens in Pennsylvania and what's happening in Maryland. So you can't be prescriptive about what it takes to do it, but we understand the principles of what it takes to do that kind of work. And what we're doing is we have run candidates in the past, and we will continue to run candidates as independents. We are working to get ballot status in Maryland, and that ballot status allows us to build membership, to have people join the party. Increasingly in Maryland, people are running the hell away from the Democrat and Republican parties. The number of registered independents in Maryland has finally exceeded the number of registered Republicans in the state of Maryland. And it has been doing that really consistently year after year since 2016. So the opportunity for us to bring in thousands of people into a Black workers-led, anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, anti-racist party is very viable. We've even had Black members of the local board, right, of elections tell us on the side, like, be very careful about crossing your eye, T's and dotting your I's, because the word is to make it difficult, because they don't want an exodus of Black people out of the Democratic Party. Not that it does anything for us anyway by staying in there, but I think it's really important for us to have these strategies. The real truth is that we have to have our own independent basis. We cannot be, if you rely on the Democrat or the Republican parties to be your base, they can pull your chain when they're ready. And we've seen so many people do that. And you see these so-called DSA, Democratic Socialist people. You have this guy running in New York, talk a great game in the beginning, but when you look at it, their money's coming from the imperialist class. All their support is coming from that. They gotta, kiss the ring and do everything. They're no longer independent, and it's better to be independent and not be able to do a whole bunch of things, but never lose focus on what the Black community needs.
That's right.
Than to sell yourself out and the community out and get a couple of trinkets for them, right? And nothing's changed for the community whatsoever. And it discourages people from participating in it. Why would you want to participate in an electoral process that screws you over, that doesn't represent you, that doesn't fight for you, that don't have no backbone, right? So the statement is, and this is why, again, to your point, it's so beautiful what we understand. We're not sitting here to debating whether you should be an independent party, you should be an independent, or you shouldn't be, because we're beyond that. The truth is, we know today, Black radical politics must define what we do. And then we'll know who you are by the work and the stances you take, right? And the kind of independence you have. That's what we're building for. And that's the challenge that people have to come to.
Brother Khalid.
Absolutely correct, Brother Namdi. So here in Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania, as well as some other places around the country, our focus has been on recruiting people, helping to educate the community, helping to educate the masses of people around options, around how important it is to have those options. So we started in 2012, as you both know. We started in 2012, and we looked at a few different models. We looked at our political party formations that didn't necessarily engage in electoral struggle. We looked at the Black Panther Party, we looked at the Republican of Africa, so forth and so on. We decided to take the best of all of that, to embrace the best of the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, and the Black Liberation movement, and create this unique Black political party that would focus on a new African type of identity. That's why we call ourselves the New African Independence Party. We believe in self-determination. We believe in free to land, right? We believe that we have a right to our own nation, an independent Black nation, right? And so we think it's important to use electoral politics to pursue that, but also to provide immediate relief for our people, right? Because again, fundamentally, politics is about the acquisition and distribution of power and resources. It's not just about rhetoric. It's not just about posturing. It's about what can you do for the people. And so one of the things that we have been marching and protesting and demonstrating and petitioning. We have been throwing bricks and bottles and even firing a few shots, some of us, right? But we had failed to engage really seriously in electoral political struggle. Many of us, and this is really Brother Charles, our background, we had disdain for like electoral struggle.
That's right.
For real.
Right.
We had disdain for
real disdain,
right? We had a mid-level tolerance level for public officials, right? We believed that the revolution is just around the corner. And in order to accelerate the process, we need to get our guns and bullets and get ready. It wasn't about trying to learn how to fill out a ballot and all that. We didn't want to hear none of that. Well, that was an error, because as you and I both know now, historically, all the revolutionary movements before they became armed movements engaged in mass protests, demonstrations, some degree of electoral struggle. And I'm talking about the African-centered movements for liberation, or for those of us who consider ourselves to be traditional Marxist-Leninists, you can go back to the Bolshevik Revolution. They had internal debate and discussion about the utility of electoral struggle. And so here we are today, right? And so we missed the boat. But now, we finally were able to commandeer some type of vehicle that we could build upon. And so that's why it's so important for us to do the work that we do. With the NAIP, we ran a few campaigns. We haven't been as successful as Inez and Charles. We ran a few campaigns here locally in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we don't get
and and we're still growing. We're still developing. We've been organizing some campus chapters throughout the South. We have a very active chapter that involves the young students from out of Clark Atlanta University. We also have some student members from Morehouse and Spelman as well. So our focus is on recruiting. And by the way, most of our college, guess what their major is? Political science. And they've already expressed that when they finish graduating, they want to run for office, and they want to run for office under the banner of the NAIP. Right. So that's what we're doing. You know, we're looking at how we can enhance and how we can develop this movement for independent, radical, revolutionary Black politics.
Well, man, that was right on for both of you.
Can I add something real quick to that?
Go ahead.
So I'm somebody who I was born right after the generation of the 60s and the Black Power movement, and we inherited a lot of the strengths and weaknesses immediately coming out of that. And the fact that there isn't a lot of information about revolutionary science on electoral struggle needs to be dealt with, because Reverend Khalid said it. We're reading a book together with our organizers around the old book Black Power, written by Kwame Ture.
Oh, yeah, right.
In one of the sections in there, they were talking about the Lowndes County Freedom Organization, the very first Black Panther Party, right, which was the electoral party. And he said one of the things that had been ingrained in the Black people, even though we made up 80% of that county, was that politics, elections was white people's business. And so much of us who even came out of the Black Power movement as the children always thought of electoral policies as something the white folks or the sellouts deal with, not the real revolutionaries.
Right.
And the truth is the masses are in the electoral arena, and we just gave them up to be preyed upon by the fox and the wolf every 4 years, every 2 years, right? And we never had that level of machinery to engage and pull them into something outside, because you got to win power after the election happens. You still got to win power. So I just wanted just like how important it is for us to advance this as a part of a whole process of liberation. Not that you say we can't vote for liberation, right? It ain't going to be on the ballot. But we got to build the groundwork to get our liberation.
That's right. And I also want to
build a capacity solution. And then like as students of history,
let me make mention.
Yeah, go ahead, Brother Charles.
Yeah, I want to make mention to Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party, and they do the Independent Black Radical School every April. So we're uniting with that as well, and they're supporting us. So we're working together on that. But go ahead, Brother Khalid.
Yeah, so if we look at history, right, and all of us are students of history, we look at fascism, and that's one of the things we're going to be talking about, right? So Mussolini and Hitler, and I'm not sure about Franco in Spain, but Mussolini was first. People always want to attribute fascism to Hitler, but Hitler got his stuff from Mussolini. So Mussolini and Hitler, they didn't come to power with the gun. They came to power with the ballot. They came to power with the ballot. They were able to utilize ballot access. They were able to manipulate the electoral, got into power. They were able to consolidate their power with the gun. But how they got there, through the ballot, right? And so we have to learn how to utilize the ballot. It's not going to get us a full-fledged revolution, but it can bring some immediate relief to our communities and bring people closer to the realization that we need to have a serious revolution in this country. This is a messed up country. I would describe it another way, but I can't, get off into that, especially because Sister Inez is here, and plus you got listeners, right? But this country is truly, truly messed up, brother. It really is. And it is, what Dr. King said years ago is so profound. This country is responsible for so much murder and mayhem and poverty.
That's right.
It's almost unbelievable. And we live here and we don't see it. We don't see it. And we do, and other people tell us that what we see is not what we really see, and it's something else, right? And most of us go for that, unfortunately.
We, as someone said in the chat, we get played every time. So like in New York City, Nnamdi, we started the Black Solidarity Coalition. So we have a group of us in New York, Nation of Islam, December 12th Movement, Operation Power, the Uhuru Movement, just a whole group, some clergy. And this first time we all coming together, and we were all coming together. They first was going to support Zoran Mamdani, but there's more he shifted to the neo-colonial puppets. We shifted away. So we're not endorsing him at all. We're going to deal with some of the referendum where Eric Adams has some things on the referendum ballot to take power away from the city council so he can have the power, the mayor, to deal with his developers. Right now, we could check him. That's why we have affordability. And we'll share all of that when you come to our workshop, how we got affordability. Because after you win, you got to deliver.
Yeah,
you know, and the Amilcar Cabral said it best, the great revolutionary of Guinea-Bissau. He said, bear in mind, the masses, the people are not fighting for ideas in your head. They're fighting for material benefits, a future for their children, mass no difficulties, tell no lies, and claim no easy victories. So that's what this is all about, that we got to deliver for our people. Fidel Castro, before he went into the mountains, ran for the state representative in Cuba. And when Batista got in control, he canceled the election. So they had to go in the hills. Hamas, they used to never run for office. Hamas ran for office in Palestine. They won an election. An international community said it was free and fair. Hamas. Matter of fact, even Benjamin Netanyahu supported Hamas at one time because he was against. He was against the PLO. Arafat.
He was against the PLO. He supported Hamas. The same thing with Southern Lebanon. You know, Hezbollah. They won the national elections for Lebanon, and they secured power through the ballot, and then they consolidate their power through the bullet. Malcolm told us years ago, the ballot or the bullet. We need both right now at different points, but right now we got to learn how to use that ballot. That's the one that's been underutilized.
That's right.
Hey, can we just remind folks, again, our Black Radical Political Convention is coming to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, October the 25th and 26th. That's Saturday and Sunday next week. We're going to be at Temple University. We're inviting you all to come out, get this information, get connected, and get organized. Let's build a machine. You can get more information at nbrpc.org, and you'll find information under more. You can find out about the 2025 registration for the convention. So we invite you out. We hope to see you there.
Yeah, all roads lead to Temple University.
Okay. They got to correct that. That's NBRPC on the screen. NBR, National Black Radical Political Crime. NBRPC. I just want to make sure we're on the right track. We don't want you to push the wrong button and wind up somewhere else that you regret. So, all power to the people and free the land.
Free the land.
Right.
So, thank you so much.
Y'all.
Ira, you're going to put that up. NBRPC.
There we go.
.org. So we have that in front of you now. Make sure that you check it out. Go to that page, and there's a dot that says more. And when you click that, you'll see all of the information that you need, making reservations at the hotel. You can plan your travel time so that you'll be there to be a participant. It's going to be exciting.
Yes.
You've had the layout presented to you, the topics, the agenda, the people that are going to be making those presentations. So we expect to see you there.
That's right.
We'll be there, and we will be looking for you.
And
right on.
And what we say at the end of all our programs, the truth shall set you free, and power is the great equalizer. Black power.
Black power. Black power. Black power. All right.